Well, hi, welcome to My Favorite Mistake. I'm Mark Graven. We're joined today by Ahmed Aref. He is the CEO of CorpoCure. He's an executive coach, a team coach, and he's the host of a podcast called the Values and Leadership Podcast. So, Ahmed, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Thank you, Mark, for the invitation. I'm honored to be in your podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we could talk and tell the audience, just to start off quickly, where are you from originally? Where are you right now? Where are you connecting from?
Yes, I'm Egyptian expat in Saudi Arabia, currently in Riyadh. Basically, my previous experience was in finance. So I'm finance advisor for the past 22 years. So this is currently why I'm here.
Well, you are my first guest from Saudi Arabia. You're my first Egyptian guest. So thank you for...
Great. Thanks for being number one.
So we have all sorts of things that we'll talk about related to your work and experiences, but we always like to just start off with your story. So Ahmed, what would you say is your favorite mistake?
Yes, actually, through my work as a financial improvement advisor, financial performance improvement advisor. So my job is to make reports which help the top management to make strategic decisions. So I'm always in the job of developing strategic reports to the management, and it was one of these reports that when I first released the idea, it was very much accepted and welcomed by the top management, and we worked hard on it for almost 1 month. And we had a lot of workshops. I was doing the workshops to the top management to even teach them how to understand this report, because it was very novel in its approach. And it was well received. We have spent a lot of time in preparing it. And then comes the day where we should be presenting the presentation to the top management, to the senior management, to give them our work. And suddenly, I was notified by before the meeting by 10 minutes that I'm not included into this meeting, and other people who were not included in the preparation of the report will attend instead of me. So it was like awkward decision. Why? Then I got an answer which was not fulfilling, and it was not relevant. So then I reacted emotionally at that time, because I thought it was a very important report. And if I am the one who did it, then why should not I attend? Then they said the answer was, you already did a lot of workshops to us, and we already understand the whole thing, and that's it. So then the situation passed. But then after that, I started to think, what happened? Something is not wrong. Something is not right.
Right.
I started to pivot actually out of this situation, and I said, okay, this report and this framework of strategic reporting, I will publish it in a book. And I started to sell it to outside the advisors as well, and they will appreciate, and people from USA and people from my region, and it was very well accepted as a very good report for a medium size or a small size, and this was even enough for fulfilling for me. This was the first reaction. The second reaction was later, actually, when I started my coaching and my coaching career. Mm-hmm. When I had an emotional intelligence workshop, and here started the thing. When I realized why all of this happened, I started to be more self-aware about myself. Why do I feel? How do I feel? And how was I treating people for long years? What was the decisions that I was taking regarding the relationships? Because I was very much focused on the work, on the task. And I didn't give the relationship its due time and its due investment in time and even in emotion, all of this. And I got to realize that what happened is that this was the mistake, that I was not investing enough time, and I didn't interact in the right way with others, and I was not paying attention to others' words. So I was very kind of focusing on work, and whatever was the criticism I received, or whatever even feedback or suggestion, I was not accepting that. So definitely others thought that I'm not that kind of manageable, or I didn't like their views or something. So they started to treat me as advisor, as an like independent advisor, but he's not part of the team. He's not like this. So this is what I realized, and this is what I discovered, that not focusing, not giving the relation, the due time and the due investment, and the emotion, and there should be emotion and feeling in work as well, that should fuel this kind of relationship. And this is the pivot mistake. And from that realization, I started to be more attentive, to reignite or amplify my listening skills, which I discovered that I already have, but I was like shutting them down.
Yeah.
And
so
this was
why tell me more about that. What do you mean you were shutting them down or not letting those skills come out?
Yep. I discovered something while I was studying coaching, that all humans have all the skills, but because of some instances, or because of some values, or because of some personal experiences, that we were shut down by others for one reason or another. So we started to take a defensive action, and we started to be not open with people. We are not sharing what's inside us with people. So that leads to be a more close of nature, and not open to communication with people. And this is, I think, what led to that. This one thing. The second thing is that I like always to be productive. So I like always to do things that leads to result, or leads to some benefits. So communicating with colleagues was like something like, oh, we'll talk again about weather, or we'll talk again about football. I don't like this kind of discussion. So I was not having this kind of socialization. So that's why. Yeah.
Well, I think that's
this was.
that's really important thing to learn. What I hear you saying is that time spent on getting to know others, letting them get to know you, building those relationships, that might have seemed inefficient, or a waste of time compared to reports to be written and tasks to be done, is what I hear you saying.
Exactly. And I discovered even later that this kind of mentality is there in the work. So the thing that you are an advisor, this kind of, I'm wearing the hat of the advisor, I'm thinking I'm doing these things, and I don't need to talk with others like this. And it is one of the ways that people use. I'm not the only one, but some people as well use it, and this is not the right way, because there should be an interdependence and with people, and trying to find common ground, and co-create result together, and co-create activities and together, and all of these things.
Yeah. So that time spent on relationships in a way is an investment that allows us to accomplish more, maybe to accomplish things more successfully, because of the relationships that we have within a team, or with our clients, or whoever we're working for, working with, right?
Yep. And even so, I discovered that after years, I have done this for years as well. I felt lonely as well, as a result. And then I thought that I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about being lonely. So actually, I should change my beliefs, and I should change my behaviors, so that I will not be lonely. So it was my belief who led to this kind of lacking this kind of connection. So it's my view, my world view, and my self view has led to that.
Yeah. So back to when you were telling a story about writing a report, not being invited to the meeting.
Yep.
Was that probably, it sounds like that was due to not having those relationships, where they wanted your input, but they didn't think having you in the meeting was going to really add. Or I'm curious, did you ever have a chance to talk to them about that, or when you're looking back at it, you're just guessing that the relationship wasn't strong enough, and that's why they didn't feel like they wanted to bring you in to the meeting?
Yeah, I discovered that emotional intelligence is very important at work. And at that time, I didn't have this kind of emotional intelligence skills. So, and they wanted to, and this was required in this kind of meetings.
Yeah.
So because I lack it, so it means that for any reason, I should not be there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say your background is in finance. I'm an engineer. I've talked to people, let's say, who are software developers, whether we're focused on the task or the facts. Sometimes we can get in trouble if we say something too bluntly. Somebody, if we disagree or if we think something is a bad idea, without proper emotional intelligence, that stating something that we think is factual, we say, well, that's not going to work. How
Exactly.
we say that means a lot in terms of how that message might be received, or if we damage the relationship to the point where they now no longer ask us for input. That can be troubling in terms of the impact on an organization or the impact on us in our careers, right?
This is a really important point. And yes, I had this as well as one of my behaviors. I was saying whatever I'm seeing as factual, as you mentioned, irrespective of what could be the impact on others. So maybe this as well was part of missing this kind of emotional thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a really good thing. I mean, it's an insight that comes from reflection. And it sounds like in your case, what you're saying, Ahmed, was that you had the personal moment of you described loneliness. It wasn't because someone came and said, "Hey, you're in trouble. You need to change how you behave." It was very kind of self-initiated, it seems.
Yep. And there is only one thing I wanted to add is that in a lot of workplaces, there is not honest feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And the honest feedback will allow anyone to learn. And this is what we miss in corporate culture, is that people are afraid, or they don't feel good if they give honest feedback, because this will ruin the relation with the other person.
Yeah.
But if I got an honest feedback, definitely I could have uh, changed or something, or thought about it.
So in your work now as a coach for executives and organizations, what are some scenarios where you try to help people navigate giving feedback in a way that demonstrates high emotional intelligence?
Yep, this is very important question. Thank you for that. Usually, the current performance is like a yearly performance review, where unfortunately it is used to scold employees or try to penalize them, or not to give them, or let's say, no, you didn't perform well, and that's why you need to do these courses to be better,
Mm-hmm.
as if you are, not a good guy or something. So in coaching, we are saying no. You should be having an ongoing feedback throughout the year. So you, as a manager, you should be having ongoing feedback, like coaching, dealing with your team, and include them in the decision before it is taken. This is number one. So people feel appreciated and feel valued, and this will open communication with each other all year long, and there will be ongoing feedback and trust as well in the team, and we will be moving into a unified direction. And this has a lot to do with success as a team, and success as a manager, and for individual people. And this is very important in coaching.
And I think back and reflect on some of my work. I've made mistakes where I've had to learn that having the right answer isn't always enough. There's having the right answer, and then there's the ability not just to communicate it, but the ability to engage with people. And I think that's something that's a category of our work life where we can try to develop better emotional intelligence. I I don't think my emotional intelligence. There's a long way to go where I could improve that. I make mistakes all the time, but emotional intelligence can be developed in a way where I think IQ. I mean, in a way, our intelligence is what it is, but emotional intelligence can actually be improved upon. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure, definitely. And yes, thank you for bringing this up, because being in an advice mood or as an advisor, so you are always giving the right answer to others. Really, this really hurts, and this breaks relationships. And as well, so in coaching, we are encouraging the communication and the flow of and opening up discussions. So manager should not be in the meeting having the answer. No, he should be probing questions, giving question, like brainstorming, and he is inviting answers. Or there is another way, even to let the team even ask questions only.
Yeah.
This is another way to ask a question regarding the subject. So he explains the issue in 1 minute or 2 minutes. Then he invites questions from each team member, and from these questions, we'll start to realize a new situation or new imagination to the situation, and that's going to enrich our collective view, and how can we move forward, and not having a close view to the problem, to the initial situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I've really tried to focus on personally, and sometimes get to coach others on, is asking open-ended questions. So there's a difference between asking, what are your thoughts about that plan, versus asking, technically it's a question, say, Ahmed, that's a really good plan, right? Yeah, that's not really leaving open the door for you to say, well, I have reservations about that plan, or, I have concerns about that plan, is different than saying, no, that's a stupid plan.
Yeah. And yes, I sensed when you said that, the psychological safety, because the tone even that you use, it can even give a psychological safety, or it can let others to react, just to react. They cannot think, they cannot propose, they cannot show up with their whole self, and they cannot give their thoughts and their ideas about the issue.
Yeah. So if someone says, I think that's a stupid plan, and then I say, what's wrong with you? That's technically an open-ended question, but that's not really.
Sure. Yeah.
Not a good
It's the wrong way. It's the wrong way to do it. Yeah.
No. So yeah, hopefully listeners, this gives people a lot to think about and sort of reflect upon how we interact with people, and focusing on relationships, and not just the task at hand. So one other question I wanted to ask you, Ahmed, your podcast, Values and Leadership Podcast. Tell us, what that podcast is about, and why was it important to you to start that podcast?
The podcast is about inviting leaders from the 6 continents to discuss emerging leadership practices that's values based. So, for example, corporate owners, advisors like yourself, and academics, and even executives from within the companies. So each one discusses his values-based approach to leadership, and how he shares the decision making, and how he shares the rewards of the business with the clients, with the customers, and in a way that's innovative. So some of the leaders that I invited, they're employing the employee shared scheme. So it's like an employee owned companies, but they are giving the employees voting and controlling rights. So as if they are owners, voting and controlling, not only profit share. Imagine. So I'm giving them and giving the people, the engineers, let's say, because it's an IT company, they're giving the engineers sales skills, like listening, like understanding. So even those, so they don't need to hire a sales team and a technical team. No, they are empowering you just mentioned this example 5 minutes back. You mentioned that even some engineers, they don't have this kind of emotional skills. No, they are making them ready to face customers and clients and have this kind of conversation and be very understanding to the needs of the clients so that they achieve joint success.
Right.
So this is the kind of guests and approaches we are discussing, which is values based.
Yeah, and people can find the podcast searching for it in the usual podcast apps and directories. Is there a website that you would point people to?
Yes, there is a YouTube channel which I can share it with you. We can share it in the show notes, and it's in Podbean as well. Podbean, corpocure.podbean.com. And as well, it is an Apple podcast for sure. There is as well a link. I will share it with you after the show. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and like you said, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes. So, any other thoughts that you would want to share as we wrap up? Thoughts on mistakes or learning from mistakes that you would want to share, Ahmed?
Yes, life is full of tries. We try things. Sometimes it succeeds. Sometimes it doesn't succeed. And when we try things and we do not succeed, this is not a failure. Actually, this is an opportunity for learning, an opportunity for growth. It's always as if a door has opened despite of this kind of a mistake, but door has opened for something bigger and something even we have not anticipated before. And this thing can be even much more better than the success that we have experienced originally.
Yeah. Well, it's very well said, and it's great to hear your perspective on that and how important that is. As you've, like all of us, we make mistakes, but the positive outcome is when we reflect and learn and improve. That's what the podcast is all about. So thank you, Ahmed, for contributing to that conversation here today.
Great. Thank you, Mark, for inviting. It's always a pleasure to see you and meet you.